Okay, we are ready for clue 2 of the summer mystery crochet along. And you would have already worked your post-to-post stitches, and you would have already worked the single crochet row. And remember, the whole purpose of that single crochet row is to really clean up any mistakes you might have and make sure that you have 66 stitches when you start your lace motif. Okay, so this lace motif is called Parasols. It's really pretty. It's not super complicated. We're doing the same thing over and over again, but it's often helpful just to see it worked. So the first thing I'm going to do is work 2 single crochets. I'm going to work a single crochet in this first single crochet and a single crochet in the next one. And then I will be chaining 4. And we'll skip a stitch. The parasol stitch is worked over, this cluster is worked over 5 stitches. So I'm going to work into the first 2, skip a stitch, and then work into the next 2, and then pull through all of my loops. So I'm skipping this first one. I will yarn over, go into that next stitch, pull up a loop. That loop should be roughly the same size as your double crochets. So kind of eyeball it. What's more important is that all of your loops are the same as you create them. So you're going to yarn over and pull through just 2 loops. Yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, right? Same size as the last one. Yarn over, pull through 2. I now have 3 stitches on my hook, which means I'm going to skip that next stitch, yarn over, go into the following stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2. So at that point, I have 5 stitches on my hook. Right then, I will yarn over and pull through all 5, and that is what is bringing that cluster together. Then you chain 4, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to skip a stitch, do a little single crochet in the following stitch, and chain 4. We'll skip another stitch and we'll do another cluster. So again, I'll yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got 3 stitches on my hook. I'm going to skip a stitch, yarn over, enter that next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. When I have all 5 stitches on my hook, I'll yarn over and pull through all 5. Chain 4, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch with a single crochet, chain 4, and I'm doing the same skip stitch, and we're going to do a cluster again. So be careful not to do a double crochet, do that all the time. So go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 of them. That's when you know you're going to skip a stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go through those 2, yarn over into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2. You should have 5 stitches on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 5. You will chain 4, find that very edge single crochet stitch, and you will go into that as a single crochet. Okay, then you're going to chain 6 and turn 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is what your first row of parasols look like. Now I have to say that I really truly think this is so cute, and I can imagine doing this row and the following row as kind of a transition between fabrics, shawls or in tops, anything like that, just kind of a nice little arches sort of look. So we're going to turn our work. The repeat for this lace pattern is rows 2 through 5. So this next one is the beginning of our repeat. So I've chained my 6, that counts as my my chaining turn and my first chain 3. So I'm now going to come into the top of this cluster with just a single crochet. If you pull on that stitch, you can see where all of those loops kind of came together as one. That is the top of your cluster stitch. You're going to pop into that stitch and do a single crochet. Then you will chain 3. Between your cluster stitches, you have this V that pops down, and there's a single crochet at the bottom. You will double crochet into that single crochet. Go. And then you will again chain 3. Then we'll go into the top of that cluster with a single crochet, chain 3, and you will double crochet into that single crochet that's in the V between my clusters. Chain 3 into the cluster and chain 3, and you're going to come all the way with a double crochet in that last stitch. Okay, and you'll chain 1 and turn. So row 3 begins with a single crochet at the top of that double crochet. Let me actually stop and just say, look how pretty that looks, right? And that's, again, if you think about that as a transition between two different fabrics, it's really, really, really pretty. Okay, so I have single crocheted at the top of my double crochet. Now I'm going to be introducing a half cluster. So these little cluster stitches, where before they were worked into these stitches themselves, they're now going to be worked into these chains. And you can see this motif where you have a sort of arch and then a T on top. That little T, those chain 3, double crochet, chain 3, that's where we're going to be working the cluster stitches. At the ends though, we have chain 3 spaces that don't have buddies. And in those, we're going to work a half cluster. So to work a half cluster, I'm going to yarn over, come into that chain 3 space, pull up a loop, come through 2. Yarn over into that chain 3 space, pull up a loop, come through 2. When I have my 3 stitches on my needle, I'll yarn over and pull through those 2. Okay, so now I'm ready because I have my half cluster done. Now I'm going to go ahead and chain 2, 3, and 4, and I'll work a single crochet at the top of these clusters. So the last time we worked a single crochet into the cluster itself, so into that single crochet, I will work another single crochet. Chain 4, and now I'm going to work my cluster between these 2 sets of spaces. Yarn over, go into the first space, pull up, come through 2. Yarn over, go into the same space, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2. I've got 3 stitches on my hook. Sorry, I keep calling it a needle. Yarn over into the next chain 3 space, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over into that same chain 3 space, always pulling up that loop, yarning over and pulling through 2. Then I have my 5 stitches. That creates my cluster. Yarn over and pull through all 5 and chain 4. Going into that single crochet again at the top of the cluster, chaining 4, and I'll work a cluster again. By now this should be old hat, right? And even the pulling up of loops gets easier. I've got my 3 on my first half, on my second half, then I get my 5, yarn over and pull through all 5. Chain 4, and I'm going to go into this little single crochet right here with another single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to work a half cluster on this edge. So 1, 2, oopsie, sorry, let me just do that one more time because I don't think I pulled through. Yarn over, go into that chain 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into that chain 3, yarn over, pull through 2. I've got my 3 stitches on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And I will end with a double crochet in that chain 3 space. So I'm going to look 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to come all the way to this edge and do a double crochet in that edge. And so you're really looking for kind of a straight line right there as you're looking at where that's going to go. Okay, so once I've done that, I will chain 1 and turn. So row 4, I begin with a single crochet into that top stitch that we just made. So that's my chain, that's my first single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 3, and I will double crochet in that space between my clusters, my half cluster and my cluster. This should be fairly predictable for you now. I'm going to chain 3, and I will find the top of that actual cluster, come in and do a single crochet. Chain 3, find the V between, do a double crochet, chain 3, find the top of that cluster, prop right in, chain 3, find that space between, do a double, and chain 3, come into the top of that half cluster right there with a single crochet, and then come in and work a double crochet at that very first one there. There we go, and then we will be ready. We'll chain 1 and turn, and we will be ready for row 5. Okay, row 5, we're going to work a single crochet in that first single crochet, in that first double crochet. And then it's really exactly what we've done before, which is to work your cluster stitches in these halves right here. So I'm going to just do it really, really fast and kind of show you what we're doing. We're of course going to chain 4, right, and come in and work my clusters. Once you have all 5, pull through all 5 of them, chain 4, come in with a single crochet, do your 4 chains, right? Make the cluster in that space where the cluster belongs. Got your 5, come through all 5, chain 4, 2 of them. Find that top single crochet that's on top of the cluster from the previous row, single crochet, chain 4, cluster, once you get the habit of this, this one actually goes pretty quick. So of course, like right by the time you're done with it, you're gonna be like, yeah, I got it. Okay, come through all 5, and then you're gonna end with a chain 4. And you can end with a single crochet right at that very edge in the last single crochet. And then you'll chain 6 and turn. And that's what that motif is going to look like. Isn't it pretty? So have some fun with it, enjoy it, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much.